Welcome back to another Save It for Parts tech review. Today we're looking at another power station. This one is from Aferiy. I'm kind of a sucker for these off-grid portable power stations. I love alternative energy stuff. I love portable power. I grew up on an island in Alaska with no city power, no utilities at all, other than what we could make ourselves. So I know the value of portable electricity. So this is the Aferiy T200Pro. And right off the bat, before I even start unboxing this, I noticed a few things about it. The box is fairly beat up. I've reviewed a couple of these power stations before, and I've noticed that most companies will put their little box for the unit inside of a bigger, thicker box when they ship it so it doesn't get damaged. This one, they just shipped it in a single layer of cardboard box. So we've got some damage here, we've got some damage over here, we've got damage here. Now the other thing that I noticed right away is this is a proddable energy storage. So it's portable on the sides, but proddable over here. Somebody didn't spell check their packaging. Now this is a sponsored review because Aferiy sent me this device. Now with all my reviews, I try to be very fair and honest. I try to say if it's good or if it's bad, any pluses, any minuses I see during the review process. Got what looks like a packet of accessories. Yeah, we've got a few cables in here, and we've got our main power bank, and I've managed to accidentally turn it on here as I pull it out of the box. Okay, so our main unit here has a single AC output. It's got a charging input. It has a variety of USB ports. It's got 2 of these USB-C ports and 4 of the USB-A. We've got our little display screen, and then we've got a little LED light here. Now, unlike some of the other power stations I've looked at, this doesn't have a main power switch. It just has a switch for AC, which turns on the little inverter system. You can hear the fan come on there momentarily. And then it's got a DC button here, which turns on this bank of outputs. It's got the little tag on the bottom here giving some of the specs. As far as accessories, we have the manual. We have a car lighter adapter with this little plug. I think you just plug that into one of these barrel jacks. And we have the car adapter for input, wall adapter. Pretty straightforward little unit, not a lot of bells and whistles. Only one AC output, but lots of USB outputs. One thing I've noticed is you can't actually turn this off again once it's turned on. You have to wait for 30 seconds and then it auto powers itself off. So this unit uses a lithium-ion battery. I've seen various units like this that use various battery technologies. This is a little bit of an older technology. The battery capacity is about 224 watt hours and outputs about 200 watts. So it has about an hour's worth of power in it at maximum output. The recharging is rated at between 11 to 27 volts, so you can feed it solar panel power at varying voltages, and supposedly it can handle that just fine. The life cycle says it's greater than 1,000 times, which to me seems a little bit on the low side. That might be because it's using a lithium-ion battery versus some of the newer LiFePO batteries. Now honestly, just looking at the specs on this device, I'm not that impressed. I've seen 200 watt power stations that are much smaller than this and actually a little bit cheaper, and I've seen some that are similar size with similar battery capacity that have extra features like wireless charging, additional AC outlets. Now on the plus side, the manual that came with this is fairly reasonable. I don't see any major spelling mistakes. There was that one proddable thing on the outside of the box, but the manual itself seems like they ran it through a spell checker. And there's some interesting stuff in there that I haven't seen in other instruction sets for other power banks. There's kind of a trickle charging thing for Bluetooth headphones, smartwatches, stuff that needs kind of a constant low voltage that might not like it when the power station automatically shuts off. So you can actually lock the DC on by holding down the DC button. Although the manual does mention some features that don't actually exist on this unit. For example, it talks about the LED light having a on mode and an SOS blink mode. Supposedly you push the button once to turn it on, you push it once more for blink mode, and push it a third time to turn it off. On the actual unit, you push it once to turn it on, push it again for bright, and again for off. There is no flashing or SOS mode as mentioned in the manual. It's not a huge deal. It seems like every flashlight has that flash mode, and I don't know if anyone's ever actually needed it or used it, but it'd be nice if they had the same features in the manual as the actual device. So I'm reading through the manual again, and I notice on this page it says the life cycle is over 1,000 times. However, over here It notes that the life cycle of battery charging and discharging is greater than 500 times. After 500 times, the capacity will be significantly reduced. So, kind of inconsistent information, even from one page of this manual to the next, and it really doesn't make it sound like a very good battery system. Let's go ahead and charge up the Aferiy power bank and see how it works in real life. And according to the manual, that should take about 3 hours to fully charge from empty. Looks like we're charging at between 84 and 86 watts. When we started charging it, the cooling fan did fire up, but it's pretty quiet. I've played with some other power stations that had really loud cooling fans up to 50 decibels. This one's closer to 35 decibels. Alright, let's see how fast these quick charge USB-C ports will charge up my phone. It's almost dead, so I'll get that plugged in. So that's outputting at 18 watts. And the phone is supposedly going to be full in about an hour and 20 minutes. Another potentially missing feature on this device is an accurate power gauge. We've got that 4-element battery meter on the left. You don't get a detailed percentage capacity like you do on other power banks. The remaining battery meter on this is basically the same as one of these little guys that just gives you 1 through 4 bars. And that's just fine for a small pocket-sized battery bank that's trying to save space. But this thing has an LCD screen on it. It seems like it should be capable of telling you exactly what percentage the battery still has. I'm also not seeing any mention of an APC or UPS function on this. A lot of these battery banks let you plug something in semi-permanently and use it as an uninterruptible power supply. This one doesn't seem to have that function, and in fact the manual warns you to unplug it when it's fully charged and not just leave it plugged in all the time. There's also no option to change the AC frequency. A lot of other battery banks will let you switch between 60 Hz and 50 Hz depending on where you are in the world. This one seems to be factory set beforehand, and the manual doesn't even say what frequency it is. You have to flip it over to find out it's set at 60 Hz for the US. Now, one thing that's nice about the Aferiy power unit is it has so many USB outlets. Most things these days charge with USB, so having 6 different outlets is pretty nice for charging things on the go. I can charge up my camera battery, my lights, all my filming equipment in the car, and if we're parked somewhere with the car off while I'm filming, I can keep charging all of my extra gear in the back seat from the power bank. So I have to bring a drone somewhere on short notice, so I grabbed the Aferiy power bank to charge up the drone batteries. And all those USB outlets are pretty handy for that. We can charge multiple batteries at once, and hopefully by the time we get to our destination, the drone will be all set to go. I was about to wrap up my Aferiy power bank review when a solar panel showed up from them. Now, I don't check my mailbox every day, but this showed up about a week after the actual power bank, and in just as bad a condition on the outsides. All of my other packages were fine, so somewhere along the logistics route, the Aferiy boxes just got beat to heck. So I've seen a couple of these solar panels from different manufacturers, and they seem to prefer this little briefcase format, which I think is pretty nice. It keeps the solar panel somewhat protected where you carry it around, and so far I don't see any shipping damage to the actual unit, so I think it's going to be just fine. The case has these little pop-out supports, so you can set up the panel aimed at the sun, and it's got a little pouch for accessories on the back here. I'm not actually sure what this goes to. I've seen this connector a couple times. I don't see it on the actual Aferiy power bank. And then the charge controller has its own USB outputs, a USB-C output, and then a DC output. So you don't actually need the Aferiy power bank to use their solar panel. It's pretty self-contained. It looks like you can just charge your phone or your USB-C devices straight from the panel when it's sunny outside. Now, unfortunately, what I don't have here is a way to charge the Aferiy power bank from the Aferiy solar panel. They did not include compatible cables to go from one to the other. So the instructions on the solar panel say to use this little Anderson connector. Apparently that's what this guy is. And to plug it into either the back or the front of their power bank. However, on this particular power bank, there's no such connector that I can find. We've got this input over here that's just a DC barrel jack, same as the outputs, and no other connectors that I see without actually taking this apart to see if there's some kind of direct battery connection inside. It does have this really nice long cable on it, so you can put the solar panel pretty far away from whatever you're plugging into it. And then in the accessories for the power bank, we've got this barrel output, we've got our wall adapter, and we've got our car adapter. Now, it's possible I could jury-rig these two things together. Oh, this is actually really tight to get in there. This is the first time I've tried to plug them together. If we ignore the standard solar panel cables, plug this in to the barrel jack on the charge controller, and the other end into the input on our power bank. That might give us power. I'm not actually sure if that's going to work. We're going to have to try that out. That seems to be the only way, using the included cables in this set, to get juice from the solar panel into the power bank. It's not very straightforward. It's not super intuitive. I'm not sure if that's how they intended people to do this, or if that's the recommended way to do this. In the manual for the power bank, it seems like the solar panel is supposed to have a barrel jack adapter, and in the manual for the solar panel, the power bank is supposed to have the Anderson adapter, but neither one of them is directly compatible without creatively repurposing some of the cables in the package. Okay, so that method of charging the power bank does appear to work. It seems like it's getting about 17 watts from the panel right now. The sun just went behind a cloud, so we're not getting full power. All right, the sun is peeking out between the clouds a little more, so we're getting up to about 90 watts of power when we have direct sunlight on the panel. The panel is rated for 100 watts max, so this is actually pretty good for direct sunlight. Charging this with the solar panel is essentially identical to using the included AC wall adapter. They both give the power bank about 90 watts of electricity in. And in fact, you'll notice the DC input is only rated at 90 watts, so there might be a control circuit in here that's limiting the input from the solar panel to 90, even if the solar panel is getting full sun and trying to output 100 watts. So overall, what do I think of the Aferiy T200 power station? As I stated earlier in the review, I try to be very honest. I try to give you the negatives along with the positives. And unfortunately, there are a few negatives with this. The manual was a little inconsistent when it came to things like the battery life and features that it had. The battery technology is a little bit older than other ones I've seen. The features are pretty limited. The battery meter is very simple. There's no adjustable AC frequency. It doesn't have a UPS mode. And there's only one AC outlet. It seems a little bit large to me for the battery capacity. That lack of a solar panel connector also bugged me. I did get it to work eventually by cross-connecting the two car adapters, but I don't think you're really supposed to do that. I don't know if they just forgot to include a solar panel connector or what happened there. On the plus side, the solar panel seems very good. It output basically the maximum power that the little power bank would take in, 90 watts. A 100-watt solar panel like this should be expected to give you about 70 to 80% of its rated output in general use, so 90% is pretty good for me. On the plus side, the little power bank has an okay manual, even if some things in it are inconsistent. There are lots of USB ports, which I really like, including those fancy orange ones with quick charge and higher output. So even though it only has one AC outlet, you can charge all kinds of USB gadgets from it. The power bank itself is very lightweight, and it has a pretty quiet fan, so it's fairly convenient to bring with you camping or in a car. You don't notice it's there while it's running. Overall, it's a very basic power station. Not everyone wants all the bells and whistles like wireless charging and UPS mode. Sometimes you just want a battery with a bunch of USB outlets, and that's exactly what the Aferiy T200 provides. Now, I should mention, I don't know how much this device actually costs. I noticed when they sent it to me that it was listed online for $299, which personally I think is overpriced. You can get other power banks for $299 that have all those missing features that I mentioned before. And you can get much smaller and more portable power banks with similar features for under $150. Now, I did contact Aferiy, and they said they'd be dropping the price as well as providing some coupon codes, so I'll put those in the description once they give me that. Again, I don't know what the final price for this will be, but if it's low enough, it might be a good deal for a very basic, no-frills power bank. I hope this has been a useful review for everyone. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.